Political Brown Kid back again. And I just wanted to make this video just to kind of have this little conversation real quick. And what this is about is, once again, I'm finding that men on here, there are men that just, I guess they can't empathize with just being, a sexless male, or just being, a male that's in the 80% that's invisible to women. So I've been watching a few people's channels. I'm not going to mention their names. This one brother, he considers himself the OG. All of these dudes too, they have counseling that they provide to guys, and maybe they're good. I'm not trying to say that these guys aren't providing good tips or bad tips or what. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not. I saw a brother, he has his channel, and then there was two white guys or two Latinos. I don't know what they were, but they were providing videos. They were talking about, lately I've been watching videos just it popped up on my, on my front page of my YouTube, just about sexless men. And of course, I'm ashamed to say, but I'm not ashamed, but not ashamed, I guess, to say that I've been one of those men that's just not had any luck with women since, my separation, or since my, family union being broken up. And all I keep hearing these guys say, they just want to put the blame, and I get it. That's what men do. We hold other men accountable, but they don't address. They always just want to put it on the man. You work on yourself. It's easy to get, LAID out here. There's this one guy, he always talking like he's a Mac, and, it's easy if you're not getting any out here, then something wrong. And it's coming up time and time again. And he had some tips, which I totally agree with. But my problem with their comments are always this. They never even admit or want to say that, listen, these women have just given up on us as much as we've given up on them. They all want to blame men, and this isn't me. They say that the men are just staying home playing video games and watching, adult video content. And that is true for some men. It's not true for me. I mean, admittedly, I play video games, but I probably play once every 3 or 4 days. I'll pick up the remote and I'll play for probably about 20 minutes per day, and then I'm done because I'm just past that phase in my life. But what I'll say is this: they just blame the men not getting any action with women on the fact that they're just staying home, watching, adult content all day and playing video games. Well, maybe it's the reverse. Maybe it's the inverse. Maybe it's the men have stayed home and they're watching adult content because they're not getting any play with women. These people come up with the most insane reasons, and there's always some person who's has some PhD that's writing papers that doesn't know what's going on in the world. It's always, just for a prime example, a lot of people probably don't remember Dr. Ruth. And Dr. Ruth was this, maybe she was a fox back in her day, but when I watched her on television, she was not a fox at all. And she was always had some advice on how to, perform. And there's always some person, whether it be a man or a woman, trying to write a book, and they're on CNN or MSNBC or some television show trying to, tell you, and they're in a suit and tie. They've got all these PhDs, and they want to always tout their credentials, their academic credentials, on why they should be speaking on, adult relations and all of this other stuff, when you could best just go and ask a streetwalker. She'll tell you, because she has more knowledge. She's in the trenches. Or you can ask some dude who's just he's in the trenches because he's not getting any, or he's having problems. So who are you going to listen to? Some guy that just wrote a book and done just because he has a bunch of credentials behind his name, or people that are out here living this? And so that's why I'm just trying to say, look, I live this, and I know from my situation, these guys just keep talking about get your game up, get your game up. Well, what game are you talking about? That's the confusing part, because it is a paradigm shift, once again, that we've entered. Most guys on the internet want to talk about, women are not, they want to try to get these women, or they're trying to let these women know that their behavior is not going to get them a man. But I think that a lot of these women don't want men, as far as being tied down and being a wife. These women, because it's been normalized. And matter of fact, the guy from HOMAD, he just did a video on this, and I think the video was called Problems. It's just a 2-minute video, and he basically said it perfectly. The reason why we have this societal dysfunction is because we've taken out, he did this chart where he had regulated and unregulated on either side. But he's absolutely correct. We've taken out the regulation as far as for women are concerned. And I know women that are probably watching this are going to be mad, but it's true. When you look back in the day, and I'm not trying to say that women have always been saints because they've not. We all know if you grew up, if you're in your 40s or you're older, you knew people or you heard stories about people in the 1950s, even in the 80s growing up, because I experienced this with one girl. They would literally be out of school for about 5, 6 months, and then they'd come back. Or, if you had those older relatives, they would be sent down south. You're talking about the 1950s and 60s. The young girls would be shipped down south if they got pregnant in whatever city that they were in. They got shipped down south for about 6, 7 months once they started showing, and then they came back without the kid, and the auntie was like, "Oh, I've been looking for a blessing all my life. I always wanted another baby. Well, I wanted a baby and I never had one." And the auntie raises the baby. You've seen it all the time. But women back in the day were at least shamed to say, being promiscuous is not cool. It's not ladylike. Doing certain activities is not ladylike. There was always a promotion of family units, family functions. And I just did a video on this previously. We're stating that when you have governments now stepping in to provide, you specifically when you're talking Democrats, because that's specifically what I'm talking about. They really just want to say, let a woman do whatever a woman wants to do. They're even saying, let trans people do whatever they want to do. There are certain states that are letting trans people change their birth certificates and switch to say that they were born male or born female, born whatever their new gender is. So if you're not holding these people accountable, and these people can go out and lie to other people, and then somebody winds up harming them because they find out, whose fault is that? You're going to ultimately fault some guy for harming some trans person that didn't tell them, that felt as though they didn't need to disclose the information. But the true fault lies with the government, because the government promotes certain behavior. And with women, they're promoting behavior that you don't have to stay obligated to a man. You can divorce a man or leave a man for irreconcilable differences. There's no accountability. You can get divorces in one day now, 1 month in certain places, but as quickly as a day. So when you have this type of behavior occurring, plus you have the internet kind of convincing women that they have a lot of options, a lot of men just aren't getting play. It doesn't matter. If they're not a pretty boy, if they don't look super handsome, or their body doesn't look like super sexy, because you have to be handsome or sexy in order to get play. You just have to. That's just the bottom line. And so they're not holding, these other guys are just basically trying to say you got to be a Mac and you have to have this, and they're just trying to basically tell you what to do, but they're not going through these situations. The one guy I'm speaking of, he actually was a former convict, and so you probably got street game. So you probably already know, but when you're dealing with regular guys that took the school route, and such as myself, and like I said back in the day, I had interactions with women were not difficult for me. But I will say this, once I got older and I got into my marriage, and then you put on weight, you let yourself go. And that was my part when I reflect back on my stuff. When you let yourself go, and you get comfortable, and then you're just with this one person for years, if not decades, and then all of a sudden that person, because they want to be happy, quote unquote, and they don't want to work it out with you, then you're back in the pool. And once again, the women are masters at keeping their fellowships. They're masters at having Sunday brunches with their girls. They're masters at hanging out and keeping their friendships and talking on the phone with their friends for hours, whether they're married or not. So when they decide to step out and leave, they have their support system. And I know what I went through, and I think this happened with another guy I knew, and I think it's a recurring theme. We don't keep that wolf pack together. We just fall into family life, and then we like our downtime. So you're mostly isolated. And then once you get isolated, then you get heavy like I got. And then, coupled with the fact you've been out of the game for so long, you lose that ability to kind of talk and you lose that swag. And then plus also too, as you get older, I'm in my 40s, your gear changes. Like you're not dressed to the nines and wearing all of the fashionable stuff anymore because you have your partner. You're making sure that she looks good and that you look all right. That's pretty much it. So I worked on myself, and that was one of the down things that I did. And I'll state this in this video. One of the down things that I did, coming out being newly separated was number one, it was hard to get out of depression. I still go through depression now. I get into days where I don't even want to leave the house, yet alone leave the bed. So you go through those moments, and I'm still going through it. And so one of the things I would say is if you're in that mode like I am, you're going to have to find support groups, maybe divorce groups and, or somebody that can help get you back into that mode. And I've just recently started back reconnecting with friends. So we hang out whenever we can. But once again, my friends are married, so they only got so much time. But luckily, they're good friends. And that's one thing I can say about my friends, and I love them, is that they do make time to check to make sure that I'm okay. And they take time out of their busy schedules to say, let's get together, with our guy and take him out and get him out. But the other thing too, that the one regret, or I shouldn't say one regret, but the one thing that I did wrong was I started dating before I really got my physique together. That's not totally a bad thing. Because once again, it just gets you in practice mode. You can get in practice going out with women. So sometimes you can look at it to say, you know what, I spent $100, $200 on this date. But then you can look at it and say, well, is it an investment in me learning how to, just getting experience, just kind of like going on job interviews. Sometimes, even if you're not looking for a job, just take a job interview so you can at least stay in practice. And so that's the way I just kind of looked at it, like, okay, I'm salty about the money that I left out because some of the women I did like, but they just didn't want to take it a step further. But one woman she actually dug me, and she was a beautiful woman. When I say a beautiful woman, this woman was beautiful. And she actually hit me up through one of the dating apps that I was on. And she was just like, you're very handsome. And I was just kind of thinking to myself, me? Oh my God. Because I just consider myself an average dude. So when we met up, I could tell once she saw me, she was disappointed because I was heavier than probably what I looked in my picture. And so I don't think she had a problem with the face. And then plus two, this woman, I'm 5'11". She is about 5'8". And then she had on her heels and stuff. So we were like eye to eye. And then plus she's she's thick, she's curved. She's not big at all. I would say she's probably built like an En Vogue, woman from En Vogue. So it's not like she's small. But when you compare her to me, it's like, she probably is looking for a man that, she can get engulfed in, somebody that's bigger than her, that's wider than her. And I think that was a problem. But she carried the date well. We had a good time. But that was probably about a year ago before I went on my journey. And now I'm about 60, 70 pounds down. I still got some ways to go, specifically midsection. That's always the hardest, midsection. I definitely want to build my arms and put definition in my arms, get a little more definition in my chest. My chest is coming along. But what I'm saying is this, if you work on your physique, it's kind of like how I've kind of started internalizing things like this. There are a lot of women that are pretty, but they're not sexy. My example would be Gabrielle Union falls into this category. I think Gabrielle Union is a beautiful woman, but to me, she doesn't have like a sex appeal. It's not like bam, like I don't get those devilish thoughts when I look at her. But she is and that's not to say that she's not having a little while, because from what I hear, she's a pistol. So but she doesn't exude sex appeal. And then you have some women that just, they look all right. They're cute, but they're sexy. And I would have thought that, giving an example on that would be Little Kim. Little Kim is not a bad looking woman. I'm talking about little brown skin Little Kim, not this new version. But Little Kim back in the day, she was always cute, pretty, But, she wasn't like up there, like with, like in the top flight category, but she was always a cute girl, but she exudes sexiness because of like her style, how she carries herself, the way she walks, the way, just kind of like how she moves. She exudes to me sex appeal. And so for guys, I think it kind of operates the same way. So you can look at like a person like Lorenz Tate. Women are always going to say he's handsome and sexy. But then you're going to look at people like Jonathan Majors, and women are going to say, he looks okay. He's all right looking, but he's hella sexy. And so I think that I'm going to fall into that category where, I'm a decent looking guy, but if the one thing I can work on is my body so that women will at least be like, well, he looks okay, but he's sexy. And then once they interact with me, then they can say, okay, and he has some things on his mind and he can talk. But that's one of the things that like I said, I regret dating sooner, but you got to date. You just can't sit in the house because you don't know when the weight is going to pull off of you. You don't know when it's going to come down. I don't know if I'll ever achieve, a Jonathan Majors type of body or Lorenz Tate type of frame. So you just got to continue to get yourself out there. But it was one guy that I used to watch his videos. He went from being a heavy set guy to working on, to working out and getting slim. And that was one of the things that he said. And that was a tip from him. And I wish I knew his name. A brother, he does videos online about health and fitness. But he said, once you start losing weight, your caliber of women are going to start going up. So he recommends not dating until you get your physique right. And I kind of agree with that. So the one thing that I will say for guys is the things that we can hold ourselves to be, so that we can at least say, hey, I put my best foot forward for these women. Because, kind of getting back on topic, these other guys are just bashing men, saying you just want to stay in the house and watch these adult contents and play video games. Basically, they're putting it on you. It may not be you. Maybe you've been shot down so much that you've given up. But I'm just saying, for those of us that are still in the game, don't let these other people try to tell you that it's you and it's not these women. The one thing I will say is work on yourself, work on your physique. Like they say that. I agree with them on that. I'll agree working on your confidence and your attitude. I'll agree with that as well. You got to have the whole package with these women. Definitely work on your financials. But I will say this, some of this stuff doesn't even matter, because if you're fine enough, if you're sexy enough, a woman will put up with you. You can see it today. They put up with these street dudes, some dudes that just don't have anything going on. But I would just say, put your best foot forward. Make sure that you can converse about a lot of things. And one thing I will say is this: when I talk about conversation, you have to know the woman. It's kind of like when you go in for a job interview. If you're going into a job interview, if you're going to Apple, or if you're going to Google, or, if you're going to Google for a job, or if you're going to Chat GPT for a job, you want to know, if you're going to Google, this is a search company. They're about media, at getting the advertising dollars, the clicks per mile, the CPMs. So you need to go in and be able to talk about search and talk about what they do, their bread and butter, YouTube TV. You need to do research on that. But if you're going into a job for ChatGPT, you need to know about artificial intelligence, right? And the same thing too, if you're going into a job for, to work for the Los Angeles Lakers, you need to know about the Laker organization. So every situation is going to be different, and your responses are going to be different. So you need to know what type of woman that you're pursuing at that particular moment. Because for me, I pursue all women. I pursue hood chicks. I pursue classy chicks. I pursue middle range chicks, whatever they are. But you just have to know the woman. And once you know her, then you can kind of figure out sometimes what they like to talk about, what they don't like to talk about. Because you're going to get some women that, their conversation pretty much is they just really want to talk about, they don't like to talk about anything heavy, so to speak. They don't want to talk politics. They don't want to talk religion. They don't want to talk, stuff that's intellectual, make you think. Some women are just about, I just want to party and have a good time. And you need to learn how to relate to those type of women, just being, hey, how do I have fun with this particular type of woman? This is a, what is a Cyndi Lauper type of chick. Girls just want to have fun type of woman. Or if she's a woman that's, probably just been married and she's either divorced or widowed, she may be a little bit more cultured. And she's probably, hey, look, and if she's educated, she needs a man that can speak to her on a different level and have those deep conversations. But all in all, in the end, whichever type of woman that you're talking to, you still need to learn how to, um, get out, not get into the friend zone. Have enough stimulating conversation that she feels comfortable and interested in you and your mind, and she has a good time with you. But then also at the same time, she views you as a potential mate and not as a potential friend. So you have to know how to walk those fine balances. When to pick it up, and start talking, kind of being a little coy with her and being a little flirty with her. So those are the things that I would say, kind of matter, because a lot of times too, if you work on your looks, I say looks is number one, because in today's society, I think women are operating just like men. Women are men. Back in the day, when we didn't have the internet, and we had a different culture, women looked at your other potential. They looked at potential. They looked at your other characteristics, your other virtues. Today, everything is visual, even with women. Women have their own jobs. They have their own money. They can support themselves. They're telling us this, right? They're telling us, I'm independent. I can buy what I want to buy. I don't need a man to take care of me. So they're looking for eye candy. And that's why I would put your looks first and foremost. Do whatever it is you can do with your looks. It's another brother, too. He's online. And he made a fantastic point. I wish I had his name. I wish I had all these people's name. But he had a video, and he basically told the truth. And the truth that he told was this. He said, because he's a nice brother, he has a nice physique, has the V shape, and that's the look that I want to get, that V shape. Right now, I don't have that. I have that little tire in the middle. But he was basically saying, like, when you're shape, when you have a fantastic body, you don't need to spend money on high-end clothing, because all your clothes fit you nicely. And I say that, and I understand that because, if you looked at the past couple of years, all of the t-shirts and all of the shirts, period, that were being made to fit and hug your body. Even now, even if you're not wearing skinny jeans, no one really wears baggy jeans anymore, because girls used to always tell me, my female friend, she'll tell me, you look like you're swimming in your clothes. You look like you're swimming in your clothes. She would always say that you need to get new clothes. And I'm saying that to say this, because when you've got that midsection, you're kind of walking that line where the shirts that hug me, yeah, it may look good for my chest part, but once it hits my midsection, I look horrible. So that's why a lot of times I try to buy higher end clothes to compensate for my physique. So that's why I would recommend getting your looks up first. Nothing really you can do about your face, but you can definitely do something about your body. And then the second thing I will put on the priority list up there next to looks would be just getting out more. Getting out, like I told y'all, I go out all the time. I produce zero results. It makes me mad. I get frustrated. I go out all the time. Like I said, I jump in the shower. I throw on all my sister and them have me all, and my two sisters. I got two sisters. So my two sisters, they'll always tell me about some new cologne I need to buy, and they got me buying all of these colognes. Like I'm spending like $400 on cologne, various bottles. I wasn't gonna get the Creed. That was just too much for one bottle, but they had me buying all of these different fragrances. So I put them on and I go out and I just hit the area. Now, again, I'm not producing any results, but maybe that's where I need to be more efficient, where I need to start back joining the groups that I was in. I was involved in other groups that did activities that were co-ed, whether you're joining NAACP, Habitat for Humanity, whether you're participating or even going up to a church and helping out, even if you're not into church. Because trust me, I thought about just invading the church, just going up there just to holler at women. But the second thing is just getting out, because as you expose yourself, the one thing, like I said, for me, I always did well with women when I was in their physical presence. And I think the reason why I did well was because, like I said, I'm an average looking brother. I'm average looking. But when women see me, they, I think, as a woman sees you enough, like for prime example, let me just give this example. Before I got my divorce, a woman actually on my job gave me her telephone number. Because I was just because I used to always squat beside her, and so and I'm not gonna lie, I was checking her out. I was coveting her, even though I was still married. I was coveting her. I didn't make a move on her though. She gave me her number, and to be honest with you, I didn't throw the number away. I left it at my desk, but I never called her. Never called her, but because I was like, damn, she's fine, and so I took the number, and but like I said, when somebody sees you enough, they get to kind of you may not think they're watching you, but they're watching you, and they get to kind of see your character. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, he has a job here. He does this. This is how he carries himself. He seems, so they're peeping you. And so as you're in somebody's presence, once again, your looks may be, he looks all right, but then your personality, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, maybe the way you smell, those other intangibles come through and they shine through. And like I told you, this woman was fine. I actually wound up once I got separated, during that separation, I went back because it was a whole year later. So I went back and I said, man, I know this is going to look kind of creepy, but I gave her a call. No, I actually stopped by her desk and I told her, I made up some lie basically and told her I lost her number and I needed to get her number again. So I got the number. But the problem with me with her, and I'm finding this out with church women. I'm finding this out a lot with women that are into the church. They like a man that leads, and it's a particular type of leadership. So I was leading wrong. So let me just give you an example. When she wanted to go out with me, so we went out to lunch on a work day. So she met me there at the spot. When the waiter was walking us to the table, I was trying to be a gentleman and telling her to walk in front of me, but she was like, no, you go. And so I was like, oh, so then I went. And then so it was like, I think some certain little things that I was doing that just kind of, she was just kind of like, nah. And so that was my mess ups on that. So I'll agree to that. So, but the my two top things are getting your look, your physique up, and then also getting yourself out there as much as possible. Because once you put yourself out there in the streets, even if you have friends, family, if they can introduce you to people or if you can be around those people, you can possibly meet somebody. But the thing with online dating is, especially for an average guy such as myself, the luck has just been hard. Like I told y'all, I'm 45, and 45 going on 45. And the women that are sending me likes, they are either they're really big, or they are like 72, 69, 77, and I'm like, oh my God, what are y'all women doing at 70 something years of age? So that was just kind of, and so it can kind of get a little bit depressing when you see that that's all in your inbox. Occasionally, like I said, maybe once every 3 months, I'll get something interesting. That fits my criteria, because some women I get hits from and they're 5'8", 5'7", and I'm like, oh, you're too tall. That's just for me, because I kind of like a woman that's shorter, that's not looking me eye to eye. And then also, too, some of the women are like over 100 miles away that are sending me these likes. And it's just kind of like, you're cute, but how am I going to really get to you all like that? You're 100 miles away. I'm really trying to look for something in the area. So, but that would just be my thing. So I'm just going to say that again, just to kind of conclude this, because I've talked too long. But don't listen to a lot of these guys. I mean, what they're saying, some of it is true, but some of it is just they want to pretend, or they want to appear to be the ultimate Mac, and maybe they are. When these guys come up here, man, sleeping with a woman in 2024 is so easy. Man, it is real easy. And they just try to make it seem like how easy it is. And like the rest of us are just doing something wrong. But what I'm trying to let them know, what I'm trying to let you all know is that it's not just you. Some of this stuff you can control, but you can't control if you're the type of guy that wants to settle down. These women aren't really looking to settle down. If you move at a different pace, these women are just operating in a different zone, particularly if you're trying to date Black women. And sisters, please don't beat me up on this, but I'm just being honest. A lot of the black women, because trust me, I have almost given up on the sisters. I've had one Asian chick back when I was in high school. I'll tell that story in another video. And when I was in college, I had an Asian chick, and then that was it. But the sisters are just their standards are very high. They're coming to you with very big demands. They're going out with you and then telling you how celibate they are. They're not even trying to reward you with anything. They don't even want to give you you're not even good enough for them. They'll sleep with everybody else, but they're not sleeping with you. They have high standards. They're not even trying to talk to you. And because trust me, I don't mind being with a heavy set girl if it's, some type of shape and you're willing to work out. But, some of them are just like super heavy, but that's another story. Because, like I said, I know I'm on the heavier side. I'm not a perfect body. So I don't have a problem dating someone who doesn't have a perfect body either. But, it has to be to some degree. But these women have higher standards, specifically the sisters, and specifically the sisters too. They don't, a sister is specifically, maybe it's in certain geographical areas, and I can speak for my area, but they may like you, but they'll play hard to get. It's kind of like when you see those college athletes. A lot of times what some black women don't realize is, they say, well, all of the college athletes, they may see college athletes on their campus and they go to school with these athletes and they mad because the athlete is with a white woman. Well, the white woman is going to be a little bit more aggressive. She's going to let him know that, hey, look, I want you. And you can have this if you want it. If you want it, you can have it. A sister's not going to carry herself like that. She may like him, but she's going to carry it like, oh, he has to pursue me. And then when he does pursue me, I'm going to play these games like I ain't into him. Boy, please get away from me. She's going to give you a harder time. And guys are kind of done playing those games, or we're not picking up on the signals. And I'll admit, like, I don't even really get choosing signals when I'm out. Like, girls don't give me choosing signals all like that. Not unless I'm just totally clueless, but I don't get it. And you don't see women out. If you see them out, they're on their phone talking, they're on their phone texting, they're not looking up, not looking engaged, or they're out in public and it's about 40 of them and they're hanging out with themselves, having a good time, girls' time. And we can't really do anything with that. Guys have just got to the point we're not cracking through the crowd of girlfriends to just find you, if not unless you're going to creep off by yourself. And so that's what I'm going through with the sisters. And the one other thing too with the sisters is they are very, very aggressive. And what I mean by that, a lot of people want to use the M word. I hate those M words and F words, the femininity, masculine. I hate those words. So I'm not going to use it. But they're very aggressive. So what I mean is they're very combative. They're very contrarian to what you want. It's always got to be a point that counters what you're trying to say. She's being super aggressive, super this, super that. And so she's looking for a man that can control and tame her. And my thing is, well, the only way I can control and tame this woman is if I literally physically put hands on her. And then I'm wrong if I do that. You see what I'm saying? Not to say that I would ever do that. But it's just like some of these women, it's like the only way I could really, really tame this woman is if I was, Whoopi Goldberg's character tell was it Harpo to do with Miss Sophia or to Oprah's character? She said, beat her. That's the only way you're gonna get this woman in control. You gotta beat her. And with some of these women operating today, it's almost like that. They're so aggressive that it's kind of like, man, the only way I could get with this woman is to physically put hands on her. Or I would have to be a super OG out here in the streets, just thugging it out with other dudes so that she can see, oh wow, this joker is aggressive. But a lot of these women they're super aggressive. And I'm talking about the sisters. And so these guys on these other platforms, they don't account for all of this. They don't account for this. And they don't account for the guys that, they're just basically saying, because a lot of these women are super aggressive in just various different ways, but they're not looking at potential professional guys. So these guys want us to change up who we are and act a particular barbaric way in order just to please these women. And so some guys are just choosing the route where they're like, passport, I'll go overseas and find a softer woman. And that's their right to do that. They have the right. If you have the money and the time and you don't mind traveling and just hanging out overseas, then fine, go for it. I would probably say that's probably the best thing to do. But for me, that I have kids and I just don't have time to be traveling like that and just being overseas. And I probably haven't really shifted my mindset as well. I'm still kind of attached to being here. That's not an option. So I'm just hopefully still trying to figure out that, you're still holding out hope that you can come across one, because that's all you need. Come across one that's into you, that's going to cooperate with you, and that you can work with. But until then, like I said, guys, let's just work on our bodies. Also, to work on other things in your behavior and in your personality. If you feel as though, because like I said, you can't change sometimes who you are. If you're an introvert, then you just need to find an introverted woman, or you find an extroverted woman. Some extroverted women like introverted guys, because opposites attract, because you can balance each other out. But you just have to wait and find an individual that fits you. But like I said, just get practice with some women. And then, like I said, work on your body, and also just join as many groups as you can so that you can come across other individuals. Well, let me know what you all think. I know I went on too long. I do apologize. I try to keep my videos short as possible, but I had some things to say in this one. But just let me know. Drop some comments in the comment section. Definitely hit the like and subscribe. This is the Political Brown Kid. Everyone stay safe and happy hunting and finding your relationship or finding your person. I'm out.